Hello friends, it's Chrissy. Welcome to or back to my channel. We have Miss Mersh keeping us company today. Over here is sleep, kind of asleep, off and on asleep on my meditation cushion, cuddled up with my lap blanket from work. It is 8:15 on Monday morning, the 27th of September. Where in the world did September go? You've got all of my wild early morning light over here, and I wanted to make a little announcement and talk some about Vlogtober because friends, here I am. After coming off the heels of Vlogust, which I loved so much, I felt really disconnected to myself in September. So I'm coming back to Vlogust, Vlogtober. I'm leaning to the side a little bit because if I sit in the middle, I get the glare from my little window rainbow cling thing. So I know I'm not in the middle, but I'm not messing with my camera. So Vlogtober. I will be 45 in November, on November 3rd. And what I want to give myself for my birthday is a grounded, steady practice, a self-connection practice, a connection to source practice, a connection to my body practice, all of the things that I feel like I've disconnected from, put up barriers to, had to, in some ways, from like a self-protective place. I fidget with my rings, don't I? Things that I let go because they were too hard during the pandemic and up to this point in pandemic recovery. So I am making a recommitment to my practices, but I feel like I want to have them in place by my birthday. Like my birthday, I want that to be like the moment that I am able to say, this is who I am and this is what I do and I'm going to do it. So I'm looking at October as the time to figure out what this post-acute pandemic version of me, what I want to bring forward, how I want to experience myself and my spirit and my soul and my creator again. Instead of just flailing around aimlessly, flailing around with a purpose. So that's how I'm envisioning October, this place of going through what have always been my grounding practices, figuring out what works for me today, what works for me at this phase in my life, and then committing to be a person that practices those things. I am very aware that there are things that, oh, is this the book I've been looking for? No, I've lost a book, friends. But we'll get there. I thought that was it, but it wasn't. Anywho, I don't expect this to be easy, because I'm sure there are things that I used to love that I'm going to find that I don't love anymore. And there are things that used to be good for me that are now just sort of neutral. There are things that were sort of neutral that I'm gonna learn are good for me. The thing is, I have been on this journey of self-discovery and self-connection for decades. And I like stuff and I don't throw things away. I don't get rid of things if I think I might use them again. So I feel like I can go into this place of ritual and practice exploration without having to buy anything. So that's really good news. So my plan is to commit at least 15 minutes each morning and 15 minutes each evening for what I'm just calling practice. I'm going to have places in my planner. I'm gonna play with letting journaling not be a requirement. And I'm gonna have enough space left in my planner at the beginning of the day and the end of the day just to write down how I spent those 15 minutes. Of course it can be more, but a minimum of 15. I'm gonna talk a little bit about journaling. I won't talk a lot about this because this is the second time I attempted this video, and the first time I talked about journaling for like 20 minutes and it just got rambly and way too personal. But you know, there used to be this common phrase we would chuckle about, you know, pictures or it didn't happen. For a long time, I was journaling or it didn't happen. If I didn't journal extensively about something, then it wasn't worth the effort to me. I use journaling to support all of my other self-affirming practices. At this point, I am experiencing this real aversion to journaling because going deep feels really scary. And it feels like at this point in my life, all of my self-affirming practices are going to be the foundation for my journaling. That the journaling is not the icing on, the journaling doesn't open me up for the processing, but rather the processing that I can do energetically, physically can open me up to the processing that I need to do in my journal, if that makes sense. Instead of journaling being the thing I do after, the thing I do to wrap things up. The journaling opened me up to the other practices. It now feels like these practices are what's going to open me up to be able to journal. That makes sense in my head. Hopefully it made sense to you. So I want to talk about the resources, the things that I am bringing into what I am calling just October practice, my Vlogtober practices. A lot of these things you've seen before because I've recently talked about them, but just so that you don't have to dig back through, I'll just show you everything and be brief. I am not saying that I am only going to use these 4 decks. Another one just yelled at me. I only had 3, but I heard a very clear, don't forget about me. So I have 4 decks that I'm going to focus on in October. I'm not going to say I'm only going to use these. I'm just saying these are my focus. The first is which I've talked about extensively in my last 2 videos, the Death Doula Oracle. Oh, there's the reflection from my from my rainbow sun catcher that was in my eyes. I envisioned this deck the way I'm using it the last almost week. The way I envision using this is this being the grounding, the theme of my daily draw. So the first deck I'm going to use this month regularly is the Death Doula Oracle. The second deck that I will be using in the mornings is, come on out, my Narrative Alchemy Tarot. This is the deck that I created. I have found that this deck, when used with this deck, when used with the Death Doula Oracle, it really connects me to my higher voice. So this deck helps connect my wisdom, my intuition to the theme at hand on that day. So I'm seeing my deck, the Narrative Alchemy Oracle, as my connection to my intuition, to myself, to the divinity within me. And then what I've really come to love as the third card, or the third deck in my morning practice, is the Pamela Coleman Smith version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. This is very much gray tones. It's beautiful. It's reading my book. To tell you, this thing's in my journal. And I'm using this deck as the message from Source in my in comparison with, or in reflection to the Oracle card of the day. As I put this back in its case, the little wrap that I've made for this deck also has a piece of green kyanite, Thunder Bay amethyst, some essential oils, and a hamsa. One of the things that I am working on playing with as I reclaim myself and my connection with Source. I am going back to professionally here in this space. I am sticking with referring to the divine as the divine, source, spirit, whatever comes out of my mouth. But I am playing with, for personal use, coming back to the word God for my connection with the divine. It feels missed. It feels welcome. So yeah, even though it's not changing anything about my practices themselves, changing the verbiage seems very important. The other deck that is yelling at me, as soon as I sat down to record, I heard "You've got to bring me along." I haven't seen this deck in like a week, and I'm so happy. It's the Terror of the Drowning World. This deck, I don't know what it means. I don't read Marseille. It's the images are either confusing or creepy, and friends, I don't care. I love, good God, I love this deck. I don't read Marseille. I don't speak French. I don't care. So yeah, these are the 4 decks that will be the most, I'm just going to say the most prevalent in my practice, in my October practice. It's practice of my ritual practice, my routine practice. It's practice. These are the 4 decks that I will be using the most. As far as books, I have a stack. I want to be very clear. I have no expectations. These are just the books that I am pulling off my shelf and spreading around my house so that they will be, so that everywhere I typically sit, there is a book in arm's reach. Again, no expectation, just simply having the presence of things I want to be involved in and with. I forgot one. Hold on. No, it's already sitting on the table. I talked about yesterday in my Reconnecting to Yoga video, the One Small Thing, the science of how yoga changes the mind or whatever. I love that book. It is over here on my yoga table with the decks I talked about yesterday as well. Can you see how sweet my little sleeping girl is? She's not going to be happy when I have to kick her out for therapy in like half an hour. All right, so the books that I am just going to sprinkle around my house for focus. We have the book of Daily Thoughts and Prayers. Meg at Honey Rose Ritual talked about this book. She read the entry for that day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. And I think it's really interesting that I feel like this is what has made me want to return to using the term God, which is so interesting to me. I really love the way that this is structured. There's a salient thought for the day, lines to memorize, a lesson, and a prayer for every day. Each month has a different theme. Very excited. I think this is actually probably going to be rubber banded in some way to my planner. I really want to go to like a leather person to have them put a strap around my planner, and I could just stick this right in, because I also stick my daily draws here in the little pocket in the front of my planner. I'm rambling. Other books I'm going to lay around the house, also thanks to Meg, are the small collection of specialized spreads. I have 1, 2, and 3. They were a great deal on Etsy. Having these to just encourage me to play with my cards, to not feel like I have to journal with them or anything like that. My plan is to have 1 in my bedroom, 1 in the office, and 1 in my living room, just so it's always there. Because I have a deck of cards in my bedroom. Well, I used to, but they're sitting here for me to show you. And I have the Golden Girls Tarot in my living room. So just to increase the opportunity for me to just do little casual readings here and there. Other books that I'm going to place with these are the Prayers of Honoring books by Pixie Lighthorse. I have lost one of them. I know it's in my house. I'm assuming that because the other, I don't like Gold Mining the Shadows and I don't like Boundaries and Protection, but I have Prayers of Honoring Grief. I have Prayers of Honoring, and there's also a prayer, I just looked it up, Prayers of Honoring Voice. And I think Prayers of Honoring Voice is my favorite. It's somewhere in my house. I just need to find it. These are beautiful. Hold on, let me see if it's in my bedroom. Anyway, I'm gonna spread these around my house as well. The book that I am using with the Pamela Coleman Smith Rider-Waite is the Contemplative Tarot. This, I drew the Nine of Cups yesterday, and it rid me to filth. I'm really curious about the, oh, and I got food on it. My first day, and I got food on it. I am really working with the Daily Examine to each night draw 2 cards with 2 questions, which then moves me into my evening practice. The deck that I keep beside my bed that's been there for a while is Tarot de Luz. I absolutely love it. To me, it feels like it just feels cozy. I draw majors 90% of the time from this deck. So I'm really excited to use it as a part of my nightly practice. We recently got a new bed. It's really tall, so it's much more comfortable. So I will be able to hang out in bed and actually like do readings there instead of like, oh, it's so lumpy. I have a tray that I'm gonna set up that I can move from my bedside table to my bed for my evening practices. So yeah, so reading with this deck at bedtime is going to be a practice that I play with. I pull a card every night, and I'm learning there's a difference between pulling and reading. Right? I pull a card and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I go about my merry way. And then this is my other little bedtime bag. In here we have that's where this was. I totally forgot where this piece of clear quartz was. This is not my heart and soul piece. It looks very similar, but my heart and soul piece lives in my tarot bag. This is my favorite crystal of all time. This is number 2 and it lives in my bedtime bag along with an essential oil for each chakra and these little geomancy coins from, I want to say it's James R. Eads. I use these as, I have 8 of them in here. Each one of them is connected to one of my spirit guides. And I use these, not every night, but frequently to look at what guide is going to accompany me on my Reiki journey that evening. And I just realized that the Tarot de Luz will fit in this little bag. That makes me really happy. So my entire evening practice fits in here. That's downright charming. So I have books, I have cards, I have oils, I have, I want to come back to my yoga practice. I want to come back to a meditation practice. As I get closer to the 1st of October, I will have my plan is to have like a like a little option sheet, like a little choose your own adventure with a list of things I could do in the morning, a list of things I could do in the evening. I may go back to using the Routinery app. If I do, I'll show you that. Going back to using that app just to show me the options that I have. And then at the end of the month, toward the end of the month, see what I used, how I felt about it, and let that develop, and what I actually have time in my life for, and let that build what a sustainable ritual daily practice will look like. So October is completely a month of play with routine and ritual, with the goal of reconnecting to myself, to my body, and to God. There we go. That's Vlogtober. I hope you're here for it, because good grief, I am. So I guess in order for my first video to go up on October 1st, I have to actually, the first day needs to be the last day of September, which if I'm not mistaken is Friday, which is a magic work day. So that would be a fun little day in my life. And yeah, this is going to be fun. So all of this to say, Vlogtober is coming. I'm sorry, or you're welcome, whichever you prefer. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.